Hello everybody. We are sitting here in my driveway on a nice Labor Day afternoon in Southwest Michigan, so I can show you a little bit about what's in this box. It's a CV axle I just took off of my car. It's a 2009 Volvo S60, and the axle shaft in here is new actually, but it sucked. This is one I got from Rock Auto, and this is not a hit on Rock Auto or something. It was on clearance, and it was a super cheap brand. It was like $30 for it, and I thought a lot of the time these things are on clearance for a reason, because they suck. Let's take a chance. It's only 30 bucks. I had this in a week and it started clicking on me, and that's why I shouldn't have got it. But this is a CV axle. This is a constant velocity shaft axle. This is what is in the front of your car when you have a front wheel drive. This part, these splines here, go into your transmission. This part, these splines here, go into your wheel hub to turn your wheel. This nut keeps it in place on this end. And on this end, you see there's a little, as I move it, a little pin or a little circlet is what that's called, that as it goes into the transmission, this gets squished down, and there's a matching groove inside the transmission where you slide it into that this will expand out into. The neighbor kid with his little hot rod, and it keeps it from sliding out easily. This is the part that wiggles whichever way it needs to as you turn the car. This is a CV joint, or constant velocity joint. As this moves up and down though, your tire, this distance here to this distance here, is going to change. That tire doesn't make, depending on what kind of suspension geometry you have, doesn't make a perfect arc, so this distance doesn't stay the same. It will all vary a little bit. Doesn't sound like something's quite right with that car. It will vary a little bit, so you have to have a way to compensate for that, and that's what this is. This joint goes in and out. I think it's called a plunge joint, to make up that little bit of variance as you go in and out. Now this should not have any slop in it. This should not have any slop in it as you rotate back and forth like this way. And I can't really do it with enough force for you to hear it here, but what was happening is, as I would come up, like if I was driving along and I let off the gas, it twists this in a different way. It would sit there and twist this back and forth like this, and every time it would do that, the slop in these joints would clunk, 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 and it was actually pretty dang loud. Which means the tolerances inside these things were garbage. It sucked. It was just a bad quality CV shaft, or I just got a bad one, whichever. So I went ahead and replaced it with a good one. We're going to take this apart though, so you can see inside and see how these things work. Now I highly suggest, if you're going to do this, wear gloves, take off any kind of watches or jewelry that you've got, because inside here is some really nasty grease. So let me set this out here. Like I said, I'm just sitting on my garage, or my driveway, so we got a good spot to work on this, and I'll turn you around here and show you what we got. Okay, hopefully all we're going to need is a couple of things, and actually I could probably just cut the boot here. This boot allows it to be flexible, holds the joint or the grease in, and gives it some, in and out, some movement, and seals it all. I think, if I'm lucky, I should just be able to pop up the crimp on this. Easier said than done. I'm going to end up hurting myself if I'm not careful. but I want to remove this boot so it'll be easier for you to see. And I may just cut off this and then slice it down the middle. Let's do that. That might be easier. These are supposed to be pretty tough rubber, and that's looking to be the case. There we go, got it started. Once you get it started, it'll slice through pretty easily. So there, part of it ripped apart right there. Can you see it? Yuck. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay, let's get this one off. Same thing. Be careful, do not cut yourself. And this is the plunge joint we have first here. There's that part. This is this part. Okay, there's the boot out of the way. So that's a cup and stuff. Let me clean some of this off so you can see what this actually does. Okay, so we have this dismantled here, and here is what's on the end of the shaft going into your plunge joint. Just 3 of these little things that rotate. They slide into these little sections here that receive them, and it can go in and out. And as torque is applied to this, it'll turn it, but if it's at an angle like this, these little parts here, it's set on some needle bearings, and they'll slide in and out, and it turns inside this to allow this whole thing to rotate there without having any binding going on. This and this are not mechanically connected. You know, they just happen to fit tightly together so that this rotates, and this gives you a little bit of play to accommodate, you know, that angle. On the other end, it's going to be very similar. So I'm going to save you a little bit of time here. I'm just going to cut that boot off, and then we'll come right back. All right, so on this end we have something similar. If I take this, see, this is a little bit more profound because it's more than just these things on this end. This has a cage inside here that's holding like a set of bearings. So let me see if I can clean this up enough for you to see that. See if I can get a finger to turn my phone off for a sec. All right, now if you can see this, this works similarly to this, except this is designed more to go in and out and not really have a huge angle, because this is where it goes into the transmission, and it's just going to go up and down a little bit here, so not a huge amount. This can move a lot as your tire turns. See how, oops, sorry. This can move a lot as your tire turns. See how big of an angle this is here? As you turn your tire, this can rotate a huge amount like this. Now, inside here, you've got this bearing cage. This has a part going inside this, inside the cage. It has a bearing, it fits inside the cage, and you have these steel ball bearings that are captured between, see this like half round spot here? You've got that half round spot there that these, when it's straight, slot down into. Now this continues on in through there so that you've got that surface, that half round surface, all the way up. You know, this extends way up into here, so that this ball bearing can ride up and down in here, held in place by that cage there. And the ball bearing being round lets it give you any angle like this. You can have any angle and this will still turn and rotate. See, you got your tire turned there, and as I'm turning this shaft, the shaft is turning and maintaining that angle there because the ball bearings are sliding around inside this cage, this piece here. It will slide out toward this end when it's extended this way, and when it rotates around to this side, it'll get pushed in down to this side. It's a super simple design, but it's absolutely ingenious in the way that it works. Before this, you had a universal joint, which was much more difficult. And with a universal joint, when you have a tire on this side of the car and a tire on this side of the car, and you turn, this inside tire isn't going as far as the outside tire, because you're just turning a little bit here, but this tire out here has to turn way outside here. And if you don't have a way for these to rotate at different speeds, then this tire here binds because it's trying to turn at the same rate that this one is, and it'll chatter and you can break your drivetrain. Not only does this give you the angle to do this kind of stuff here, but because of these, now if I were to hold this hard enough here, I can't hold it with my hand, I don't think, no, and turn it, but I can turn this shaft here and leave this completely still to a point, because this will turn inside here enough to give me a little bit of play, so that, well, actually between that and this, I think the two combined, so that that outside tire can turn more than the inside tire. I think that's how it works anyway. I don't know if that's all done inside the transmission. It may be done inside the transmission too, but this will also give you a little bit of play in that as well. So it's super ingenious design. But what happens is when these go bad, you'll hear this click. These ball bearings are getting worn out, and instead of being a tight fit in there, they're just dangling around. Also, a lot of that happens because the boot, instead of getting cut from me doing it, something happens, it gets cut and all this oil slings out. It gets dry inside there, and then dirt can creep inside there, especially dirt with water in it when you're going through mud puddles and stuff. Gets inside there, acts like sandpaper, eats this away. It can also do that on this end as well, and you'll get a lot of slop in there, and eventually you'll get so much slop these can just bind up or break. So that's a little bit about how a CV shaft works and what they look like inside. We never get to see inside these things, so I thought this would be something interesting for you to see. I'm going to put this in the garbage now because I have no desire to keep it. So hopefully you guys are having a good weekend. It is Labor Day into summer, so enjoy your last bits of summer here, and we'll see you guys later.